Hello, I'm Hastings Hart, Chair of the Beat 10Y Neighborhood Crime Prevention Council. In our meeting of March 26th, we went over monthly statistics, heard from Captain Toribio and PSO Lane about recent incidents, heard from candidate for Mayor Brian Parker, and went over monthly updates. In thinking about the OPD's ability to protect and serve us, this number is important to keep in mind. This is the current number of officers on the force. Keep in mind that this is not the current number of officers available to go out on patrol. It includes everyone behind a desk, all the commanders, everybody up to the chief of police. How many do we need? According to the U.S. Justice Department, the national average for police departments is 2.3 officers per 1,000 residents. Apply that formula to Oakland's population, and you see that we need 922 officers to reach the national average. We are currently at 58% of that. Oakland has a higher than average crime rate, so it may need a larger than average police department, but this is a useful benchmark. As another benchmark, San Francisco, with about double the population, has about 1,750 officers and is at about 92% of average. The reason our force is so low is that the Oakland City Council went 4 years, 2008 to 2012, without funding a single academy. They started up again last year, and they are continuing. And Interim Chief Wendt said that he hopes to have 720 officers at this time next year, which would put us at about 78% of the average. To better understand the monthly statistics in Beat 10Y, it helps to understand its context. The OPD organizes the city into 5 areas, each with its own captain. We are in Area 2, and you can see 10Y highlighted in green. Area 2 contains 12 beats and is led by Captain Anthony Toribio and Lieutenant Chris Bolton. Now that you understand how 10Y fits into Area 2 and the city, we will look at 5 statistics: murders, shootings, robberies, residential burglaries, and motor vehicle thefts. This is the number of murders in Oakland over the last 4 years. Notice the peak in 2012. You'll see this peak in other crime categories. On average, over the last 4 years, someone has been murdered in Oakland every 3.5 days. This year to date, there have been 19 murders in the city. I'm going to show you 4 more charts like this, and an important part of each one is the last pink segment. Is it going up or down? The lines tend to move together, making this last segment a likely indication of things to come. If current trends continue, we're due for a slight increase in murders this year. In Area 2, over the last 4 years, there has been a murder about every 2.5 months. This year to date in Area 2, there have been no murders. This chart combines 2 categories of shootings from OPD statistics. On average, in Oakland, there are 3 shootings a day, and in Area 2, 1 every 5 days. Citywide, compared to this time last year, shootings are down 20%. However, in Area 2, so far this year, there have been 19 shootings, which is an increase of 27%. There will be more about this later in the presentation. This chart combines 4 categories of robberies that differentiate the kind of weapon used. On average, there are almost 10 robberies a day in Oakland and 1 or 2 per day in Area 2. Unlike murders and shootings, robberies did not peak in 2012 but rose again in 2013. However, citywide, compared to this time last year, robberies are down 37%. In Area 2, so far this year, there have been 87 robberies. On average, there are a dozen residential burglaries per day in Oakland and about 3 per day in Area 2. Citywide, compared to this time last year, residential burglaries are down 37%. In Area 2 so far this year, there have been 150 residential burglaries, which is a similar decrease. On average, there are 17 motor vehicle thefts per day in Oakland and 3 per day in Area 2. Like robberies, motor vehicle thefts continued to rise in 2013. Citywide, compared to this time last year, motor vehicle thefts are down 10%. In Area 2 so far this year, there have been 209 motor vehicle thefts. Since our last meeting in Beat 10Y, there has been 1 robbery, 4 residential burglaries, and 4 motor vehicle thefts. On the map, you can see that for armed robberies, which are represented by the blue icon with a mask, they continue to be a problem on the 40th Street and Telegraph Street corridors. If you go to crimemapping.com and run reports, you can hover over the icons for details and see that a surprising number of armed robberies occur in broad daylight on busy blocks. Keep in mind that a significant number of robberies occur when the victim is talking on a cell phone or listening to music. Captain Toribio and PSO Lane gave an update on recent incidents in our beat. On the morning and afternoon of March 12th, raids occurred that began with flashbang grenades and heavy firepower. Captain Toribio said this operation was the result of an investigation into the increase in shootings that we had in Area 2 in the first few months of the year. He implemented a different strategy in response to these shootings, working with multiple agencies, including the California Highway Patrol, the Oakland Housing Authority Police Department, and the federal ATF. The investigation determined that violence stemmed from a feud between a couple of groups in our area. Captain Toribio said there are 4 main groups in our area. One that operates around the vicinity of Herzog Street in Beat 10X, another one around 55th and Gaskell in 10X, one around 45th and Market, and one around Bushrod, which is on the other side of MLK from 10Y. The operation served 12 warrants and probation searches, yielded 8 arrests, and captured 8 guns. 2 of the suspects captured in the operation were determined to be involved in the gun violence earlier this year in Area 2 and were charged with weapons charges, including 1 federal charge of gun trafficking. Since the operation, there have been fewer shootings in Area 2. The shootings that have occurred since the operation have been determined to be unrelated to the feud between these groups. Captain Toribio said that police intelligence on these groups isn't what it should be, and that he's creating a living document which will give historical perspective, describe people involved, and link arrests to highlight patterns of criminal behavior. He'll also be using the Area 2 Crime Reduction Team, which is a group with specialized training, to help develop the document. When done, when we have a change in PSO or commanders, we won't lose this intelligence. He'll be sharing this document with the OHA and the Berkeley Police Department. Regarding 45th and Market, one resident said the owner of the apartments above the laundromat is evicting the entire top floor and putting in a keyed gate. Currently, a broken gate is allowing people to use the property as a base of criminal activity. One resident asked Captain Toribio what he thinks about restorative justice. He said that he supports it. He said that there is a property on Dover Street that the city has declared a public nuisance, and that he's been contacted by Max Kaji, an activist who does a lot of work in our beat, who does a lot of work on our beat concerning restorative justice. Captain Toribio said that he wants to use restorative justice in our area and is waiting for the next opportunity. On March 12th, there was another significant drug arrest at 51st and West. On March 18th, there was a BPD parole check with a significant display of force. Over the last few months, residents in 10Y have reported seeing the Berkeley Police Department make arrests in 10Y. Officer Lane said it's not unusual for police departments to cross borders when investigations of crimes committed in one city turn up suspects in another city. On March 7th, there was an armed robbery. This was a Friday at about 8:45 p.m. It occurred on the 4000 block of Lusk, which is just north of 40th Street. The victim left the barber shop at 40th and Lusk, which is on the south side of 40th, and walked across 40th to his car on Lusk. He opened the door and put things inside and felt something in his back. He turned around and saw two suspects, one with a gun. The victim hit the gun out of the suspect's hand and fought with them. They eventually overtook him and from his pockets removed money, cell phone, and his keys. They fled westbound on 40th. On March 14th, someone threw a Molotov cocktail on the porch of 855 55th Street at about 11:30 p.m. It did not ignite. The suspects are unknown. Officer Lane said that as he's been going over the statistics for our area, he's been noticing an unusual pattern regarding burglaries. Most burglaries occur through the front door or side window. However, Officer Lane has noticed a distinct pattern in burglaries in 10X and 10Y recently, where the point of entry has been the back of the house, including one that was the second floor window. He reminded everybody to look through their yard and remove any items that could be used to break in the house. He reminded everyone that the Oakland Police Department provides free consultations to make your house less vulnerable to burglars. For details, you can call the Neighborhood Services Division at 238-6200. Officer Lane said that Driver Park has been the focus of a multi-agency project. There have been meetings involving our Neighborhood Services Coordinator, Renee Sykes, Officer Lane, the Berkeley Police Department, the City of Berkeley, and AC Transit. These agencies are working together to address problems in the park, some of which seem to be related to the liquor store at Market and Stanford. I also happen to know that the Office of Councilmember Dan Capt and Max Kaji, who we mentioned earlier, are also working to address these problems using restorative justice. Captain Toribio and Officer Lane introduced Officer Chris Hatcher, who's just out of the academy. He's beginning the night watch in our area. As part of his training, which is new, he's spending a week with the PSO learning the neighborhood and all of its issues. Officer Hatcher said that he chose the OPD because he wanted to go where the action is, which prompted some knowing laughter from the audience. We heard from candidate for mayor Brian Parker, who spoke and took questions from the audience. I refer you to his website for information on his platform. I will be inviting all candidates for mayor to speak at our 10Y meeting before the election. Our city council member is Dan Capt, who represents District 1, which is North Oakland. His community services coordinator for our area often attends the 10Y meeting. However, currently that position is vacant. Dan is a member of both Longfellow and Santa Fe Facebook pages and is also active on Nextdoor. Our neighborhood services coordinator is Renee Sykes. As you can see from the chart, the neighborhood services coordinator is a vital link between citizens at the block level and agencies at the city, county, state, and federal level. Renee said that on Earth Day, April 26th, there will be many locations and activities in Oakland. For more information, you can go to oaklandnet.com and search for Oakland Earth Day 2014. On June 14th at 10 a.m. at the North Oakland Senior Center, there will be an Area 2 Town Hall. This will be led by the mayor and the chief of police and many other officials. The focus is on public safety, but it will also be on changes in the educational system that are related to public safety and also economic development initiatives that are designed to improve public safety. For the remaining slides of the presentation, I will go through pretty quickly instead of just reading the text on screen, and you can pause the video to read the information. I hope you've enjoyed this video summary, but I hope to see you in person at the next meeting on April 23rd. We meet the fourth Wednesday of every month, except November and December, at 7 p.m. Thank you for listening.